My name is Bessie, and at 35, I never imagined life would find me juggling two jobs just to keep things afloat as a single mother in Seattle. For 8 long months, I counted every penny and scraped together every spare dollar, all for one reason: to buy my 16-year-old daughter, Lily, the laptop she had been dreaming of for her passion graphic design. What I didn't know then was that the very gift I sacrificed so much to provide would end up in ashes, while the people who should have cared about us the most looked on and laughed. Their betrayal cut deeper than I ever thought possible, but what I did afterward is what no one saw coming. If you're listening to this, I'd love for you to hit that like button, subscribe for more stories, and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Trust me, you'll want to stay until the end, because the choices I made after that night didn't just change my family, they changed me. Life as a single mother has never been easy, and in a city as expensive as Seattle, every day feels like climbing uphill. It's been 5 years since my divorce, and in that time, I've built a routine of endless work. During the weekdays, I clock in as a nursing assistant at Harborview Medical Center. On weekends, I trade my scrubs for an apron, pulling shifts at a neighborhood coffee shop to cover the bills. Any hour I'm not at work belongs to Lily, the center of my world and the reason I keep pushing forward. Her father, he moved to California not long after our marriage ended. He remarried quickly, and though the law requires him to contribute child support, his checks are inconsistent at best. Even when they do arrive, they hardly make a dent in our living expenses. I learned long ago not to depend on him. Instead, I focus on what I can control, stretching every dollar, saving what I can, and working until exhaustion sets in. We live in a small 2-bedroom apartment in South Seattle. The neighborhood isn't the safest, but it's what I can afford while still making sure Lily attends a decent school. Most of our furniture has come from thrift stores, and our clothes are pulled from clearance racks or secondhand shops. But none of that has ever bothered me. Every sacrifice feels worth it when I see Lily happy, healthy, and chasing her dreams. When Lily turned 14, I received a call from her art teacher that would plant a seed in my heart I could never ignore. She asked me to come in for a special meeting. Sitting across from me in that classroom, she showed me Lily's digital artwork pieces my daughter had created during lunch breaks on outdated school computers. What I saw on that screen stunned me. The detail, the colors, the imagination, it was far beyond what most kids her age could do. Her teacher smiled at me with genuine pride. "Bessie, your daughter has something rare. She has the eye, the talent, the discipline. With the right tools, Lily could really have a future in graphic design." When I got home that day and asked Lily about her art, her whole face lit up. She spoke about design with a spark in her eyes I'd never seen before, as if her future had finally come into focus. In that moment, I knew I had to help her chase it, but there was one problem: the equipment. Lily was working on ancient machines, old desktops at school, and my creaking laptop at home that froze every time she tried to run design software. I watched her frustration build each time the screen locked up or hours of work disappeared because the system crashed. She never complained out loud, but I could see it weighing on her. That's when I made a decision that would change everything. Her 16th birthday was 8 months away, and I swore I would get her the kind of laptop professionals use. Something with speed, power, and the capability to handle her growing skills. When I researched prices, my stomach sank $1,800, even with refurbished or open box options. For our budget, it was an overwhelming number, but I refused to let the dream die there. I opened a separate account I secretly called Lily's Future and laid out a strict plan. Cable TV was canceled, our phone plan switched to the cheapest option, and Sunday became meal prep day to cut out takeout. I walked to work when I could, even though it added 40 minutes each way. I sold anything extra we owned: clothes, books, old appliances. At the coffee shop, every tip went straight into the account. Even every $5 bill I came across, I tucked away for the laptop. Some nights, after Lily had gone to bed, I'd sit at the table counting the growing pile in the account. I'd calculate how many more weeks of sacrifice we needed. There were moments I wanted to collapse from exhaustion, especially after double shift weekends. But then I'd peek into Lily's room and see her hunched over that old, sputtering laptop, patiently waiting for it to render her work. That sight fueled my determination that by the 6th month, the number in Lily's future was finally starting to look real nearly $1,500. I pushed harder. I volunteered for holiday shifts no one wanted, brewing coffee before sunrise and walking hospital corridors long after dark. A few coworkers noticed I was packing the same simple peanut butter sandwiches day after day. When they asked why, I told them the truth. I was saving for my daughter's future. Kindness followed. Nurses split their meals with me. One of them mentioned her son worked at a big electronics store and could tip me off if something with the right specs came in at a discount dot in the final stretch. That connection changed everything. The store received an open box return, a MacBook Pro with exactly the power Lily needed. The previous buyer had returned it within a week. The machine was practically new, but couldn't be sold at full price. The tag said $1,800. With the employee discount my coworkers son arranged, it dropped to $1,750, just within reach. When I handed over the payment, it felt like exhaling after months of holding my breath. 8 months of skipped treats, long walks in the rain to save bus fare, extra hours on sore feet. Suddenly all of it had weight and shape. I held the box as if it were a door I was about to open for my daughter. A door into a future that finally felt possible. That night, after Lily fell asleep, I set the box on the table and just looked at it for a while. The smooth, clean packaging seemed to hum with promise. I found a roll of silvery blue wrapping paper that reminded me of Lily's eyes when she talked about color theory. I tied it with a ribbon I'd saved from a gift years ago and wrote a card. I see your effort. I believe in your talent. This is just a tool to help you build what's already inside you. I tucked the gift safely under my bed and lay awake like a child on Christmas Eve, listening to the soft city sounds and imagining Lily's smile. Morning came bright and sweet. I made her favorite French toast with strawberries and powdered sugar. She shuffled out with sleep musk curls and that slow, soft smile that always undid me. I didn't even wait for her to sit. "Happy birthday, sweetheart," I said, my voice wobbling as I placed the wrapped box in her hands. "I've been saving for this a long time." She turned the package carefully, slipping the ribbon loose. When the Apple logo peeked through the paper, her breath caught. "Mom, is this—" "Open it and see." She lifted the lid with trembling fingers. The moment she saw the MacBook nestled inside, tears welled up and spilled over. "Mom, this is too much." "We can't. It's paid for," I said quickly. "No debt. No loans. Just work. I found a deal and we made it happen." Her face moved through disbelief, dawning understanding, and then something pure gratitude that made her eyes shine. She threw her arms around me, laughing and crying at the same time. "Thank you. Thank you. I'll make you proud." "You already do," I whispered into her hair. "This just helps you fly a little higher." The rest of the morning felt like sunlight. Lily set up the laptop with reverent hands, downloading the software she'd only ever dared to use at school. Every few minutes came a delighted squeal. "Mom, look, rendering in seconds." The brushes don't lag. Layers, so many layers. Over the next 2 weeks, that machine became an extension of her imagination. After school, she would disappear into the world of her projects, sketches taped to her walls, notes on color palettes scribbled in the margins of her notebooks. Her art teacher flipped through Lily's new work and pressed a hand to her chest, visibly moved. "You should enter the regional young designers competition," she urged. "If you place, there are scholarships, mentorships." Lily nodded, already mapping ideas. She chose a concept that made her eyes flash with determination, visual storytelling about transformation, built from textures and light. She spent hours refining the composition, shaping typography that breathed with the illustrations dot just when she was hitting her stride. The annual invitation arrived, a weekend at my parents' lake place. The house sat on Lake Sammamish, all timber beams and a wraparound deck looking out on water that glittered like coin under the sun. My father had bought it before retiring, and every summer he gathered the family there. "I'll bring the laptop," Lily said, sliding it into a new padded case as if it were made of glass. "I can keep working between meals, and I want to show Grandma and Grandpa what I'm making." I hesitated. "It's expensive and those weekends get chaotic." "Are you sure?" "I'll be careful," she promised. "The deadline's in 3 weeks. I need every hour I can get." I gave in because she was right, and because she'd earned my trust 100 times over. We packed the Civic with 2 small duffels and a cooler of meal prep containers, and we drove east through the green hush of the foothills. Lily talked the whole way about her layout, lighting, and how she wanted the viewer's eye to travel through the piece. I listened, filled with that quiet, swelling pride that has no words. We reached the lake at noon. The A-frame rose from the pines like something out of a postcard. Steps carved down to a private dock where my father's boat bobbed against its rope. The fire pit was already stacked with wood. My parents hugged us at the door. My mother kissed my cheek, then stepped back to study my face. "You look tired," she said. My father clapped Lily's shoulder. "You've shot up," he said, smiling. They were warm, but their eyes flicked past us toward the driveway. Searching for the white Range Rover that arrived 20 minutes later, my sister, Amanda, stepped out in white capris and sunglasses that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. Her husband, Jeff, unloaded their matching luggage while their children ate in. Zoe and Ethan spilled out with the latest tablets and handhelds. The energy around my parents changed as if someone had turned up a dimmer switch. My mother clapped her hands, delighted. My father hurried to help with bags. All approval and easy laughter. Lily and I shared a small smile, the one we use to remind each other of who we are. Regardless of anyone else's spotlight, lunch on the deck was generous and bright. Conversation circled Amanda's Bahamas trip, Jeff's newest venture, the private school's robotics program. When my father asked what was new with us, I told them about Lily's competition. "That's nice," my mother said, already turning to Zoe. "Tell Grandma about your writing lessons, darling." Lily's expression didn't change, but I knew the small pinch behind her ribs. She excused herself after dinner to sketch while I helped with dishes. When she came back with a few designs to show her cousins, Aiden's eyes snagged on the laptop. "That's a MacBook Pro, right?" he asked, envy bright as neon. "Dad says those are for real professionals." "My mom got it so I can work on my portfolio," Lily said, calm as stone. Aiden curled his lip. "Dad says people who can't afford nice things shouldn't pretend." The words hit like a pebble flicked at a window small but sharp. Lily swallowed, nodded once, and went upstairs. Later, she tucked the laptop away, double-checking her files and the charger before joining us at the fire pit. She leaned her head on my shoulder while the flames cracked and popped, and I smoothed her hair, grateful for the simple closeness of that moment. We slept early. Before dawn, Lily was up again, headphones on, pouring herself back into the project while the house breathed around us. When breakfast clatter started downstairs, I left her to her work. By the time the French toast hit the table, she'd finished the main illustration and came down glowing. Typography and layout left, she murmured to me. I can see it. Zoe pointed at the laptop the second it appeared. Can I play on it? She demanded. Aiden chimed in. Our tablets are dead. Let us use yours. I'm sorry, Lily said, steady but kind. I'm on deadline. This setup is for design, not games. I can show you what I'm building now. Don't be selfish, Amanda sighed without looking up from her phone. My mother added, Bessie, sharing won't hurt. It's not about sharing, I said evenly. It's her work tool. Everything for the competition is on there. My father snapped his newspaper closed. Entitled, he muttered, as if the word were a diagnosis. Lily flushed but didn't argue. She asked to be excused and went back upstairs. I wanted to follow her, but the conversation had turned into a low-grade storm I couldn't quite leave. Lunch was stories of fine dining in Capri and hotel suites with private terraces. Between bites, I noticed Aiden's gaze drifting to the case by Lily's chair. It's not fair she has a better computer, he whispered to no one in particular. By mid-afternoon, Lily retreated to our room to work. I helped set up for the evening bonfire chairs in a semicircle, side dishes warming in the kitchen, the sky softening toward gold. Amanda's laugh carried from the deck while she told our mother she worried about how much screen time Lily had, and how I was enabling it. I set the serving spoons down carefully and pretended I hadn't heard. Even as the words stung, the fire blazed high as the sun slid toward the water. Lily closed the laptop, saved her files twice, plugged in the charger, and came outside, hopeful. I made real progress, she whispered, tucking under my arm. I think I have a shot. You already have one, I said, kissing her hair. You made it. 20 minutes later, while my mother and I were in the kitchen finishing the sides, Amanda's kids asked if they could go inside for snacks. Help yourselves, my father called, eyes still on his conversation with Jeff. Little footsteps thundered through the house. I didn't think anything of it. 10 minutes after that, laughter erupted by the fire, too loud, too sharp. We walked out carrying bowls of salad and potatoes. Lily stood frozen, her face strained. Amanda's three were near the flames, their eyes lit with a mean, delighted shine. And in the center of the fire, curling and blistering in the heat, was Lily's laptop. The Apple logo warped, the metal skewing as plastic hissed and popped. I dropped the bowl. No, Lily lunged forward with a broken sound I will hear for the rest of my life. I caught her around the waist before she could burn herself. The heat seared my shins. The computer was already gone. Aiden pointed at the flames, triumphant. We showed her she's not so special. Behind them, my father chuckled. Jeff shifted, uncomfortable but silent. Amanda smirked. Maybe this will teach her not to be spoiled, she said lightly. It's just a laptop. It was too expensive for you anyway. My mother Ed. Lily folded against me, sobbing. My project. Everything. It's all gone. The fire crackled. No one moved to help. No one apologized. The moment stretched into something I could only describe later as the sound of a door slamming inside. My chest. Something in me went very, very still. We're leaving, I said, my voice calm and cold as lake water. Don't be dramatic, Amanda scoffed. It's a thing. Things can be replaced. Not by everyone, I replied, still quiet. Not by us. I guided Lily inside, packed our bags with shaking hands while she cried softly, and felt a new muscle I hadn't used before tighten into resolve. This wasn't a prank. This was deliberate harm. And there would be consequences. Inside our room, Lily collapsed onto the bed, her body shaking with grief. Everything's gone, she sobbed. My files, my work, the competition, it's all ruined. I stroked her back gently, my own heart burning with a fury I had never known. I know, sweetheart. I know what that meant to you. But listen to me, this isn't over. For years, I had bitten my tongue, allowed the insults and favoritism to wash over me. But this wasn't a snide remark or a forgotten invitation. This was cruelty. This was destruction. Something inside me hardened, sharper than anger, resolve. I began packing our bags. We're not staying here another minute. Are we just going home? Lily asked, wiping her red eyes. Yes, I said, meeting her gaze. But we're not just walking away this time. This time, there will be consequences. We carried our bags downstairs into the living room, where the adults lounged with coffee and dessert, as if nothing had happened. Amanda's children were playing a board game on the carpet, giggling as if they hadn't just committed deliberate vandalism. My mother looked up in mock surprise. Leaving so soon? It's only 8 o'clock. We're going home, I said simply. Amanda rolled her eyes. Still upset about a laptop? Lily needs to stop being so sensitive. My kids were just having fun. Fun? My voice was quiet but dangerous. You call deliberately destroying something worth $1,800 fun? It was just a prank, my father muttered, waving his hand. Don't make a federal case out of it. I looked around the room at each of them, Amanda smug, my parents dismissive, Jeff uneasy but silent. The children watched, learning that cruelty could be excused, even praised. And then I smiled. Not the warm kind. A smile sharp enough to cut. My mother shifted uncomfortably. Before we leave, I said calmly, I want you all to know exactly what happens next. I set down my bag, pulled out my phone, and walked outside to the fire pit. The laptop was still smoldering in the ashes. I crouched down and took several clear photos, making sure the Apple logo and melted casing were visible. Evidence, proof. When I came back inside, they were watching me with unease. First, I said, standing tall, I'll be filing a police report for criminal property damage. I have the receipt, and now I have the evidence. Amanda laughed nervously. You're not serious. Second, I continued without pause, I'll be filing a claim in small claims court against you, Amanda, and Jeff. As the parents of minors, you're legally responsible. The state cap is $10,000, plenty of room for damages. Jeff straightened suddenly. Now hold on a minute. Third, I went on, I've recorded several of tonight's conversations on my phone, including Amanda saying Lily needed to be taught a lesson, and my parents laughing while the laptop burned. A judge will find that very interesting. My mother's face paled. Bessie, don't do this. We're family. Fourth, I said, my smile widening just a fraction, I've already emailed a friend at the Seattle Times. She loves human interest stories. Privileged children destroy hardworking teens' future while adults laugh. Sounds like something her editor will print. Amanda shot to her feet. You wouldn't dare. Jeff's reputation. Fifth, I cut her off. I've already contacted Lily's teachers. They'll provide statements about the competition and the educational impact of this loss. And finally, I paused for effect. I texted Aunt Judith. She sends her regards and says she'll be calling you tomorrow, Mom. The room went still. Amanda's smugness drained. Jeff's jaw tightened. My parents' faces were pinched with unease. Amanda's voice cracked first. You wouldn't actually do all that. I met her eyes, unblinking. Watch me. Then I turned to her children, who had gone silent, eyes wide. What you did tonight wasn't a prank. It was destruction. Someday, I hope you understand that breaking something someone worked for doesn't make you powerful. It just makes you cruel. Jeff suddenly stood. Bessie, wait. Let's talk. We don't need the courts. The press let me fix this. Amanda sputtered. How much do you want? Just tell us. This isn't about money, I said evenly. It's about respect. It's about teaching Lily and your children that actions have consequences. Jeff pulled out his wallet, desperate. I'll write a check right now. $2,000. I shook my head. Too late. The process has already begun. My mother's voice trembled. Please, don't air this outside the family. You should have thought about that before you left while her laptop burned. I picked up my bag and took Lily's hand. We're done here. Amanda lunged forward. Wait, what would it take to resolve this privately? I stopped at the door and turned back. Full replacement of the laptop with an upgraded model. Written apologies to Lily from every one of you, including the kids. And proof of family counseling for Amanda and her children. At least 6 sessions. That's absurd, Amanda snapped. Jeff placed a firm hand on her arm. His voice was steady. We'll do it. Amanda gaped at him. My parents looked away. And one last thing, I added. At any future gathering, Lily and I will be treated with equal respect. No more dismissive remarks about our finances. No more favoritism. Or we won't come back. There was silence. Then my father muttered, Fine. I nodded. Good night. And with that, Lily and I walked out, leaving them staring after us as if the ground had shifted beneath their feet. The drive home that night was quiet, but not heavy. Lily stared out the window, her face lit by passing streetlights. Finally, she whispered, Mom, I've never seen you stand up to them like that. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel. I should have done it years ago. I'm sorry it took something this awful to wake me up. Do you think they'll actually do what you asked? She wondered. I nodded. Jeff will. He has too much to lose if this gets out. When we got home, Lily slumped into bed, exhausted from tears. I stayed up late, mind racing, already planning next steps. The next morning, I called in sick to help Lily start again. She reluctantly opened my old, sputtering laptop, the same one that had crashed on her 100 times before. It's slow, she sighed, but I think I remember most of the design. Maybe the second version will be even better. Her determination stunned me. Where I would have wallowed in despair, Lily looked for possibility. Still, I could see the fatigue in her shoulders. The deadline was creeping closer. Around noon, my phone buzzed with Jeff's number. I stepped into the kitchen. Bessie, he said quickly, I want to apologize. What happened was unacceptable. Yes, I agreed flatly. I've spoken with Amanda and the kids. They understand how serious this is now. I'd like to make things right. As I said last night, this isn't just about money, I reminded him. I know. Jeff sighed. That's why I've already arranged counseling for Amanda and the children. Their first session is tomorrow. And tonight, I'll deliver a new laptop to Lily top of the line, plus anything else she needs. The written apologies will follow by the end of the week. For a moment, I was too stunned to speak. You already did all this? Yes, he said firmly. I can't undo the harm, but I can fix what's fixable. That evening, Jeff arrived alone. In his hands was a large Apple Store bag and an envelope. Inside was a brand new, fully upgraded MacBook Pro, plus a professional graphics tablet, an external hard drive for backups, and a sturdy carrying case. The envelope contained a check for $3,000 for lost work, emotional distress, and future software, Jeff explained. Lily stared, speechless. Her hands hovered over the equipment like it was holy. Thank you, I said quietly. It's what's right, Jeff replied. He turned to Lily. Listen, what happened wasn't just a broken computer. It was disrespect. My kids did wrong, and Amanda and I failed to stop it. That doesn't disappear just because I bought new gear. Real amends take time and change behavior. I hope you'll give us the chance to prove we can do better. Lily nodded solemnly. Thank you. I'll use it well. The moment he left, she was already setting up, her excitement pushing through the sadness. Mom, this is better than my old one. Look, the tablet works perfectly with the software. I can try new techniques for the competition. For the next 3 weeks, Lily poured herself into rebuilding her entry. After school, she worked for hours, only stopping when I forced her to sleep. Sometimes I worried she was pushing too hard, but she insisted. This project isn't just about winning anymore, it's about proving they couldn't take this from me. The apologies came as promised. My parents' letter was stiff and formal, clearly uncomfortable admitting fault. Amanda's note was short, but for once, honest, she admitted jealousy had clouded her judgment for years. The children's apologies were written in shaky handwriting. Aiden stood out. Breaking something doesn't make you strong. It just makes you destructive. I'm sorry. 2 days before the deadline, Lily finished. The design was breathtaking digital illustrations that told a story of resilience and transformation. She had poured every hurt and every hope into those images. When she hit submit, she whispered, "It's better than my first one." Losing everything made me focus on what really matters. 3 weeks later, the results came in. Lily had placed second in the regional Young Designers competition, along with a $500 scholarship. She earned something even more valuable, a mentorship with a professional graphic designer from a major gaming company. Screamed so loudly our neighbors probably thought I'd won the lottery. Second place. Lily, that's incredible. She laughed, twirling in the tiny living room. The mentorship is even better than winning. They said they loved my storytelling approach. Mom, this could open so many doors. I shared the news with my parents, who sent back a lukewarm congratulations. Amanda's text was short but sincere. Congrats to Lily. She deserves it. It wasn't much, but it was progress. As the months passed, small changes began to ripple through our family. My parents, who had once brushed aside Lily's achievements, now made cautious attempts to ask about her projects. Their words still carried stiffness, but I noticed the effort. Amanda's children, especially Aiden, began to soften too. Counseling seemed to be working. During a short December visit, Aiden surprised everyone by asking Lily to show him a few basic design techniques. For the first time, his curiosity felt genuine rather than mocking, but the biggest changes weren't in them. They were in us. The lakehouse incident had become a dividing line in our lives, before and after. Before, Lily had quietly tolerated slights, and I had swallowed insults for the sake of peace. After, neither of us would accept being treated as less. Lily worked with new confidence, proud of her art, no longer seeking approval from people unwilling to give it. I too found my voice. At Harborview, I started speaking up in meetings, no longer afraid of being dismissed. And in the quiet of late nights, I enrolled in part-time nursing school, finally chasing the degree. Amanda once mocked me for never pursuing. Lily's mentor noticed her dedication and, 6 months after the competition, recommended her for a paid summer internship with her design firm. It was just 10 hours a week, but it came with a stipend. Lily's reaction floored me. "I wanted to use this to help buy your nursing textbooks," she insisted. I laughed through sudden tears. "You don't have to. You invested in me," she said firmly. "Now it's my turn to invest in you." On the anniversary of what we had come to call the Lakehouse Showdown, Lily and I decided to celebrate not the pain, but the strength we found in its aftermath. We dressed up and treated ourselves to dinner at a nice little restaurant downtown. It wasn't fancy, but it was ours. Over dessert, Lily toyed with her spoon thoughtfully. "You know what I realized?" she said, "that awful day. It changed everything. If it hadn't happened, you might never have stood up to them. And I might not have pushed myself to create something better." I smiled, feeling the truth of her words. Sometimes you have to lose something to make room for something greater. "Not just the laptop," she added softly. We lost the illusion that we had to accept being treated poorly just because they're family. I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. The best family isn't always the one you're born into. Sometimes it's the one you create by surrounding yourself with people who see your worth. Lily's eyes shimmered. And sometimes it's just the two of us having each other's backs. We walked home under the stars that night, full of peace instead of pain. The lesson we carried was clear. Standing up for yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. Forgiveness doesn't mean opening the door to more mistreatment. And the most powerful response to cruelty isn't rage, it's calm, deliberate consequences. Most of all, we learned that worth isn't measured by possessions, approval, or bloodlines. It's measured by how we treat ourselves and how we insist others treat us in return. That was a lesson more valuable than any laptop, no matter the price tag. So let me ask you, have you ever had to stand up to family who didn't respect your boundaries? Did it change your relationship or change you? Tell me in the comments because your stories matter too. And if this one resonated, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Remember, people learn how to treat you by what you accept, what you stop, and what you reinforce. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next story.